Another NFL week in the books. Time to get after week 4. Welcome to the NFL show, Picks versus the Spread, Week 4. I'm Cav Manning from the WrestleLingus Show / Lingus Mafia podcast. All my nonsense is at Lingus Mafia on all those socials. Well, Week 4, another goofy week. Well, not Week 4. Week 3 was a goofy week. Let's see if Week 4 evens out finally and we start to get something going on. Got one out of those 3 picks right, and that was my one that I wrote on our site, which is patreon.com/NFL Pick 6, the number 6. Billy and I doing bets on there. Billy nailed 2 out of his 3 and looked good doing it. And I hit 1 out of mine, and it was my quote-unquote lock because it was the first thing I posted and said how much I loved it, and that was the under in the Miami game, Miami and Seattle, because they are horrible, Miami especially, and we knew that they would be playing tough defense and Seattle would be running the ball like crazy, so they got the under by far. We're going to go over the prime time games plus those other games I am assigned to. Billy will be doing his other one, and when he releases it, you could hear that. Our picks, my picks are already up on patreon.com/NFL Pick 6. I have 3 on there with a little bonus. If you want to dabble, I have a couple teasers. One that I'm like way into. It's the first one that I posted. I think this is a great one, and I jumped on it. And so all of these bets, I actually bet myself too. So I'm not just giving you guys things that I'm not putting my own money behind. I'm not a crazy gambler. I'm not doing hundreds of dollars on each one of these things, but I do bet on each of these, and it's football season. Bet on college, bet on all this stuff. That's degenerate gambling time. And the worst part about it is I'm in California, so I have to have somebody who lives in Arizona do these bets for me. It's that bad. But this is what happens when you live in California. But let's get to the week. We have the Thursday night game, and it is Dallas, who is 1-2, going into the Giants, who the Giants beat the Browns. So you kind of don't know what the Browns are yet a little bit. They beat them 15-21. And I was like, this was one of the ones I had in a teaser. I had the Browns, and it was like, just win, as Al Davis would say. Just win, baby. Come on. And they couldn't do it. They lost to the damn Giants, who I don't think are any good. The funny thing here is the sky is falling in Dallas. Everybody's yelling at each other. You're getting that whole thing because Dallas is Dallas. We know to expect this. And it's like no lead is safe when it comes to Baltimore. Baltimore up by a ton and barely pull it off. They won 28-25, for God's sake. So that was interesting. Now, I will tell you from all the stuff that I've heard radio-wise and listening to, the experts and people who do this for their jobs, and because, you listen to everybody and you kind of, like, there's been plenty of bets where I've heard every pro say, I like this, and I go, I'm not betting on that. And turns out I'm correct. And plenty of times the other way, too. Don't get me wrong. But there are certain things that just don't feel right to me, and I go, I'm not doing that. I'm not giving that out as one of mine either. I'm just not into it. And I have heard everybody jump on the Giants on this game. And it is Dallas -6. And not only have I heard people say they're jumping on the Giants, but they said they're even betting on them for money line. I'm like shocked by this. I know Dallas has their issues, but I just don't think that the Giants are any good. I'm not betting on this game at all. This is not part of my mix at all. Just because these pros scare the hell out of me when they say that kind of shit. Can you tease it down? I guess you could and have it just be a pick'em. But with what pros are saying, it also sounds like that's risky to do because they're saying the Giants would win. So I also heard there is a prop bet in there, and Malik Neighbors, he is getting, it's 70.5 receiving yards, and they're saying he's getting like 15 balls a game, or at least targets. Like, they're really targeting him like crazy, and he's the whole offense. So they are taking the over when it comes to that, too. I'm not comfortable with that at all either. I don't trust Daniel Jones for shit. Even though what's funny is that you compare, he's got the same exact stats as Trevor Lawrence does, like in a career, which until this last week, you would think, well, what the hell is that? Trevor Lawrence is so much better. I don't know if Trevor Lawrence is so much better. Trevor Lawrence has said many things like, when he was being drafted, this is not my priority. I have other things I like besides football, which, I don't know. It's hard to take somebody when they say that, because you go, I need somebody who eats, sleeps, and shits football. But that is the first game coming up. Those are my opinions on it. Do what you want, but I'm kind of staying a little bit away. We're going into Sunday here, and part of my slate is talking about Chicago. God, I could do a show only on Chicago because, as you well know, how I watch my Chicago. But I am not blind. I am not delusional. I know what I see, and boy, do I see. I see a horrible offensive coordinator. I see a head coach who is not capable of being a head coach. Great coordinator, fantastic defensive coordinator. I would like to have him fired as head coach and keep him on the staff as defensive coordinator. Shit doesn't happen like that, though. The Bears lost to Indianapolis 21-16, and Richardson did everything they could. He did everything he could to make sure that Indianapolis would lose, and they won. Caleb Williams threw the ball 52 times, and it would have been more if he wasn't sacked so many times because of this fucking line. And Bears have no running game. You saw all the memes that go all out all over the place where they did a sprint out option on 4th and 1 from the goal line. If they score that, they win the game. They had the ball at the 1 yard line, 4 tries, and they went into the shotgun all the time. Just that. I don't even care that the play is goofy. I'm starting off with the formation and screaming and going, what the hell are you doing? Didn't throw the ball one time. They drafted a quarterback number 1. They trust him enough to call the plays at the line, to call the what is the coverage, where that's normally the center's job. Here's a little inside football. Normally the center is pointing out, this guy's coming, this guy's doing this guy's over here. They're the real, general of the team. They have a shitty center that it plays, apparently. He plays on roller skates. It's bizarre. You've never seen an offensive line wear roller skates, but the Bears do. And Caleb's up there already 3 games in. He's calling the coverage out. He's calling who's coming, who's this and that. And they break the huddle so late because of these stupid plays that are coming in. He doesn't even have enough time to say, let's audible out of this, because there's 5 seconds left on the clock. I mean, it even goes down to they scored a touchdown, and the coach didn't remember to go for 2 until it was too late. They ran the kicking team on, had to call a timeout, didn't have the timeout at the end of the game, lose the game. It's unbelievable what goes on over there. Look at it like that. So now they're going, they're back at home. They're going against the depleted Rams, who are falling apart. But what do the Rams have? The Rams have a probably Hall of Famer quarterback. He won a Super Bowl, so that helped him get in probably. Great quarterback. Guy's got heart. We saw him in Detroit. How many years? He beat the shit out of him. He's dying. He's taped together playing. Guy's a fucking monster, right? Great guy to have. Great locker room guy. All that stuff. Beat up. That's all. They went into, you know what? Maybe I was a Freudian slip. They went into San Francisco and won because they were at home and the whole entire place was red. It looked like a gang war over there. It was bleeding. The crowd was so red. Boy, that's some home field advantage. They won. They were down by 2 touchdowns, I believe twice. And they came back and with nobodies. Absolutely nobody's. All of a sudden, Johnny Unitas was out there. Nobody's Stafford was throwing to. And San Francisco fell apart. I watched this game. And usually you could point out some things. Other than, there's a couple drops. Other than that, to point out things like, what did they do wrong, San Francisco, instead of almost what did Rams do right? They called plays and catching balls and, in space. And the Rams won at the buzzer there, 27-24, and pulled one out there. So now they're going into Chicago. Both teams are 1-2. The Bears are favored by 3. A lot of people use the strategy of when you do not know who to pick in the game, you say, who has the better quarterback, who has the better coach. Not saying I think Caleb is not good, not going to be great. I think they finally got this right. I'm worried about this organization ruining people, as they like to do. Clearly, the coaches, if you look at this, McVay is 100 times better. 100 times better. I think, call me delusional, I think the Bears will win this game. I'm not putting a fucking dime on this game. I'm putting nothing on this game. Let alone 3 points better, this and that. I think the Bears would win money line, but I am not touching this game. I cannot trust this coaching staff until they show something. They cannot run. Their offensive line can't open up a hole. They use the wrong personnel for running. They have Swift, and they think, oh, I'm just going to use him. He's a running back. I'm going to make him go up the middle. He's not made for that. He's made to bounce outside. They use him like he's a fucking power back. They don't use Roshan Johnson, who is the forward falling running back. Khalil Herbert, who catches the ball out of the backfield better. They don't know their personnel. And when I'm someone on the couch who knows better, is a frightening thing. I'm by no means their quality of actual, professional coaching. But when everybody in the world watching this game knows, as soon as they come out of a huddle, that this is wrong, that it tells you how bad that is. So let's move on from there. Denver goes into the Jets. The Jets are favored by 7.5 here. Week prior, Denver, who they have now announced their defense as the Orange Slush. It's not even the Orange Crush anymore because they're horrible at defense. All of a sudden, they win 27-7 against where they said, look at Baker Mayfield. He's in the MVP running. Look at how good this team is. This is shocking how well they're doing. And now, all of a sudden, they fall on their face to Denver. Is this a case of looking ahead? Because they're playing the Eagles this week. Is it a case of, it's a shit team, don't have to bust their ass? I think a lot of people do fall into that. You could call them professionals, but they are human beings. And we've all been there before where you go, oh, well, I'm playing a lesser guy. I don't really need to gear myself. And by the time you get punched in the mouth, then you kind of go, uh-oh. It's almost if you got in a fight with, a taller, bigger guy is not going to take the small guy, as seriously. And then all of a sudden he gets rocked. And it's going to be hard to recover from because now it's change game plan in the middle of, somebody being jacked up and ready to go. So they lose. Tampa Bay lost 7-26. Denver with their first win here. And the Jets go in, or actually it was the first time at home. And they beat the shit out of New England, 24-3. That defense of the Jets is really good. I really like the Jets to go to the playoffs this year. Last year, I had them going to the Super Bowl even, and then 4 plays happened. It's probably better off because Rodgers now, they revamped that offensive line, which the Bears should take note from and do that. And now has some protection. And he is extremely good. He has still got it. I know somebody once told me he was washed after the first game of the 49ers. And they said, he's done. He's over with. It's over. He's retiring after this year. Well, take a look at what's going on now. 7.5. That little hook, those type of things. When we get to 6.5, that's where you kind of like to see things better. This may or may not be part of my gambling picks this week. Guess you'll have to go to patreon.com/NFL Pick 6 and find out. All right, we're going on to Minnesota. Going into Green Bay. Take this for what it's worth. And I'm saying this here that I believe that we are going to get a report that Jordan Love is playing in this game. Right now, Green Bay is favored by 2.5. Do you think the line will move if they activate Jordan Love? I was worried. I was wrong on my. I had a game last week, and I think it was just on a teaser, and it was Tennessee needed more points, and of course they got fucking killed. So I see Jordan Love. He's warming up before the Tennessee game. You would have no clue anything happened to him. He's rolling out. This guy's got a knee injury, rolling out everything, and it was game time decision. They said, okay, he's sitting down. I think he's playing this week. This is a division game. This is 3-0 Minnesota, who beat the shit out of Houston. Planet Houston got whooped 7-34. Darnold got knocked out, got back in the game, though. He should be fine. Green Bay won in Tennessee 30-14. Levis just might not be a good quarterback. That might be happening. Too much mayonnaise or something like this. I expect Green Bay to win. I think Green Bay is a very good team. I might hate them. I might, not mind if there was plane trouble, anything like this. But I do know what I can see, and I do know quality. I'm not, a retard when it comes to this. I know what I see. Green Bay is scary good. Green Bay could easily, to my chagrin, go to the Super Bowl. At least they'll lose to the Kansas City Chiefs. But they're 2-1. They only lost that opener. That was a goofy opener away, and with the sod falling apart and everything like that. But I really like Green Bay in this game. I just think they're the better team, and I don't trust Darnold. If Kevin O'Connell can win, Coach of the Year if Minnesota keeps up with this, because I expected them to be last place in that division. I expect them to be like one of the bottom 5 teams. Darnold is their quarterback. And what's funny is I would have thought the same if McCarthy played, because he's a rookie, and he's not like one of the top guys. So this is usually something that gets split between the two of them each year, home and away. So they're home. So I would expect them to win this game. Not saying if they're going to win by 2.5. Not saying anything else if you want to read between lines, but that's what I'm saying. I have a full write-up on patreon.com/NFLPick6. Next, we have New England going into San Francisco. Oi. So, New England, as we said last week, the Jets beat the shit out of them 24-3. Drake May came in. Drake May looked horrific. That's how bad. I mean, Jacoby Brissett, he was getting killed. So they said, let's put in somebody else. And he was getting beat up. His passes, it was just bad. Everything was bad. I don't want to be look, he's shit. He played. This is the first time he played, and he had 8 throws. It's hard to. His career's over. However, I know about North Carolina quarterbacks, and I know about the North Carolina quarterbacks that wear number 10. I'm not thrilled with them. We'll say that. So I don't think he's actually going to get in this game unless, obviously, that it's garbage time. However, San Francisco is favored by 10. I don't ever like these numbers that land right on stuff, because when it's 10, then it's like a waste of everything. You need those hooks, or you need to maybe dial it down, buy a point, stuff like that. As we said, they lost to the Rams last week, 24-27. It makes you a little worried about picking on this game, because do they put their, they go full bore. Now will they try to run up this score because of what happened last time? Like, they got ahead quickly and against the Rams, and we're like, hey, same old, it's the same again. They got bad players on the team. Everybody's hurt. We're going to coast. So do you think this time is when they shove the pedal to the metal and don't let up? However, people are hurt. Purdy's got a back thing, but, good enough to play. Kittle's probably back at least. McCaffrey's going to get doctors' opinions, I think overseas even. It's the Madden curse has got them. So I don't have too much about this game. Going into Sunday night, hell of a game. This is the game of the week right here, and it's Buffalo into Baltimore. As long as Baltimore doesn't get a 3-score lead, they should be okay, right? They cannot keep their lead. As we said, they won against Dallas 25-28. I picked Dallas last week, not as a bet, just as my pick'ems bets, just flat money line stuff, because they were at home. I was like, I'd pick Baltimore if they were at home. I would have picked Dallas if they were at home, and that's how I chose that game. It was that close, and it ended up being that close, only 3-point different. Didn't look that close half the game, though. So Baltimore is 1-2. They finally got their first win. Buffalo is 3-0. Who would have thought when, I think we said at the beginning of the season, too, Buffalo's window is closed. It's over with. They're done. They had their chances. Well, who knew Buffalo broke the window open? And all of a sudden, it's wide open. They're 3-0. They beat the fucking living piss out of the Jagoffs. Tony Khan sitting there in a neck brace like a fucking asshole. Do you imagine the people that are the Jaguar fans that are not the wrestling fans, and they see one of the fucking head people at their organization is fucking so busy with his wrestling organization and playing the part with his fucking neck brace in the war room, in the draft room, that he's like more preoccupied with that than he is with his professional football team. You would probably fucking lose your mind and be like, get your shit together, get your priorities fucking straight. Stop worrying about, selling a neck brace and worry about, drafting and getting with this team. I just love that he's like, oh, I do stats. And please, you won the cum lottery. I'll say this every damn week with this fucking guy. Won the cum lottery. If my daddy was there too, I'd be, on the coaching staff. Trust me. So it's nepotism at its finest. The Jags, I might have a little bit of something with them in the NFL Pick 6 on Patreon as well, because, boy, they are a disaster. And to come out that flat and look that bad, and, boy, I mean, people, it was like teased up to 12, and it was like, holy cow, and they lost 47-10. This is a very close matchup, which is scary, and I kind of want to ride with Buffalo until they prove me otherwise, because if somebody's this hot, and it's not like they're barely escaping things, really, they're hot, so you kind of ride the hot hand. Although Baltimore's at home, Baltimore's favored by 2.5, so this is something if I had to, but I am not going to. This is way too, even though Baltimore barely has a win, you still expect them to be deep into the playoffs. I kind of expect them to still go against Kansas City in the championship game, really. The seasons are not, you do not win a season, as they say, in September, but you can lose a season in September. So you kind of want to look back at these teams. You want to start evaluating in November more so and see where they're at, because Baltimore kind of did this last year. It took them a while, and then all of a sudden they were hot. Let's go into Monday, another 2 games that we got going on Monday, and it's Tennessee, who is 0-3, going into Miami, who is 1-2. Miami is -1. Holy shit. I don't know, first of all, who's going to watch this game unless you are a fan of either of these teams, because, this is a gross, gross thing. I actually think Tennessee should win this game, because Miami is now putting in, what's the guy's name? We always called him Lawrence Fishburne from, we said he looked like fucking Lawrence Fishburne. Hundley, the former backup on the Packers. He's going to be the quarterback now for Miami, because their other backup was just not doing anything well. And this is just, it shows you, as many people that shit on Tua, look at what it is without Tua. It's bad. Tennessee at least has a great defensive line, and they have a good defense. So that's going to be the thing. They're going to slow down even more so the offense. The over-under is way low, too. I think it's like 37. And that might be something also to look at if you guys want to dabble a little bit and look at the over-under, and maybe even tease that with something else and bring up those points, bet the under. This is going to be an ugly game. And I think with the defense, of course, of Miami, I think it really feeds into the same exact thing we did with my lock last week, where it was going to be the defense of Miami knows they have to bust their fucking ass to keep this team in, and they're not going to get any support from the offense, and it's going to be one of those, if you score a touchdown, you might win this game. So that's where I'm looking at for this, and it's not going to be a pretty game. Last game of the week, before I get out of here. See what I do for you guys? I do this while I'm working because, God, my work hours are beyond insane. So I made sure I'm getting this done at work and posting it in because we have that game tonight. Seattle, 3-0 Seattle. Goes into Detroit, 2-1. Detroit is favored by 3.5. That hook bothers me every time. I do not think Seattle is as good as they are. They have McDonald as their coach, which seems to be a good choice after Carroll. They got rid of the worst coordinator in the world who went to the Bears. And I would suspect Detroit is going to win this game with the you know what? It's possible even with those points there. I wouldn't be betting on this. This is not one of my go-tos, of course. Detroit beat Arizona last week with some trickery, too. They're doing hook and ladder. It's wild, the stuff they're doing, middle of the game. Not even for a reason. They just like to play around. Seattle, of course, like we said, milked out the clock against Miami. So looking at that, they played Miami and, they won. It wasn't like some, blowout or anything, but they were facing a team that had no offense. Detroit has an offense, and Detroit is at home. It's Monday. It's going to be a rowdy crowd. The more I think about it, the better I do feel about Detroit here. So that's all I'm going to give you for these things. I have my bets up on patreon.com/NFL pick 6, the number 6. You want to get there? I even threw a bonus up this week because I haven't been doing what I should be capable of doing. So I want to give a little bit of extra for everybody. That is it for me sitting here, and time to get back to work. So hope you enjoyed it. Have a good week at football again, ladies and gentlemen, and I will see you next week.
He could go all